How many of you want to make more money? Somebody said, what's all this with the money? We've got the $100 thing hanging here. This is a real one, by the way. And dollar makers, and the past is not equal to the future. And it's all about money. And really, that's why we call dollar makers. Today is about how to get what you want and using money to do that. So really, today is not a seminar. Most of us have been to seminars. And the reality is that when you attend a seminar, how much of that do you really remember and apply, average person?
1%.
Yeah, small amount, right? Most people, a huge amount of people attend a lot of seminars, they attend a lot of training, and what happens during that training is that their conditioning kicks in and they start saying, yeah, but this, been there, done that, heard that before, tried that, didn't work, and as a result, they don't get any result. Today is a little different, and that is you've got a very, very specific objective. The objective is for you to retire in 1 year. Now, when I say that already rings a whole lot of alarm bells with our conditioning, because our belief system doesn't accept that. And your belief system and your conditioning, all of us, is so strong that it's very difficult to accept that you can retire in 1 year. When we say retire in 1 year, we mean that you will have more residual or passive income coming into your life than you need to live on comfortably. That's what we mean by retirement. It means that you have enough money coming in that you don't have to work at it all day, you don't have to, the money's coming in, and because you're using joint ventures, it's increasing all the time. So it's not a stable amount, because how many of you know that nothing lasts forever? Right? The same with a joint venture. So a joint venture is really a money machine. That's what it is. It's a system that's going to bring money into your life. There's nothing, you don't have to do a lot about that. Once you set it up, it's a money machine. Just automatically keeps on going, bringing the money into your life. So we're not going to call it a joint venture. We're going to call it a dollar maker, because that's what it is. It makes dollars. And that's why we call DollarMakers.com. It's because a dollar maker or a joint venture or a strategic alliance is set up to bring you money into your life. How many of you in the room already have your own businesses? Anybody? Okay, now I'm going to tell you something that you might also find interesting, and that is that the average business, first of all, only 1% of small and medium-sized, the owners of small and medium-sized businesses understand and use joint ventures. 1%. It's not me talking, that's Jay Abraham, and you should know. 1% of small and medium-sized business owners understand joint ventures. And that's what sets it up for the next thing I'm going to tell you. The average business owner is operating at about 10% of their potential profit. 10% of their potential profit. And that might sound far-fetched for you because you're thinking, well, I'm working so hard, I've been in this business for so many years, and that's true, and that's part of the problem. Because no business is working at 100% margin. You agree? There's no business works at 100% profit. You've got cost of sales, and if you're selling time, how much is your time really worth? That's your most valuable resource, is your time. And if you're selling time, you're not in business. So most entrepreneurs, most of them, are broke, self-employed salespeople. That's what they are. They're self-employed, they're broke, and they don't have any money. They talk the talk. They're good at talking the talk. But they're really working too hard for too little. In fact, in North America, statistics show that the average entrepreneur will do better working at McDonald's. But he's a so-called entrepreneur. We know from Michael Gerber that most entrepreneurs are not entrepreneurs. They're technicians with an entrepreneurial seizure. Right? They want to be entrepreneurs. They're technicians. So that is not negative. That's very, very positive for you, because the reality is that any income coming from a joint venture or a dollar maker is 100% profit. 100% profit. So when I say that you can dramatically increase the profit in your business, I really mean that, because what it means is that you're going to go from where you are, dramatically increase that, because everything that comes in from joint ventures is net profit. Net profit. No time or very little time, no cost, no risk, and unlimited income potential internationally. So you're not limited by boundaries and all those things. So our goal is to get you to retire in 1 year with more passive income than you need to live on. That's the first goal and the only goal for today, whether you have a business or not. Now, some of the people in the room are very wealthy. Some of you have already retired. I know that. Some of you are just here to make more money, and that's great. You don't need the money. You want to make the money. That's a good place to be. And some of you want to make more money anyway. So It doesn't matter where you are. Also, it doesn't matter what your background is, your education, your circumstances presently. You can be fresh out of jail, living in a cardboard box with tramp stamps and tattoos all over yourself. It doesn't matter where you're at. And the reason is that as a joint venture broker, you don't matter. Now, I know that's a shock. It hurt me when I found out. Nobody cares about me. Nobody cares. What do they care about? What does the average person really care about? Themselves. Right? They're interested in themselves. So if you need water and you're dying of thirst and I bring you water, all you're interested in is the water. You don't care about me, my resume, how many teeth I got, how old I am. That's unimportant to you. That's why you will sit and listen to a funny-looking bald man that's been hit with an ugly stick and speaks with a mongrel accent, because it's the information. That's what you want. You're not really interested in me. How many kids has he got? Did he get out of bed okay? Has he got a headache? How's he feeling today? You don't care about that. So as a joint venture broker, all we are is a link. It's not about you. It's not about your product. It's not about your service. I don't care what you think your reputation is, how long you've been in business. I'm not impressed. What am I impressed with? How much money are you going to make me? That's the average person. So if we can remember that, then it's a great freedom. It's a great freedom to know that it doesn't matter how long you've been in business, your reputation, unimportant, and everything, all those things about you and your ego, it falls away. It's unimportant. What is important is how you can link up people. So if lightning strikes, it doesn't care what the link is. It can be a pole, it can be a dog, it can be you, it can be me. It's just going to flow. And it's the same with money. All we're going to do is link up supply and demand and make money. Now the other thing is, as an entrepreneur, we're very used to making excuses. We make a lot of excuses. Right? Well, I don't have the time. How many of you complain you don't have time, honestly? All of us, right? We all do. We don't have enough time. We don't have time. We don't have credit. We can't find good people. We don't have the capital to expand our business. We don't have the marketing expertise. The competition, outsourcing, overseas competition, all these things, all those excuses fall away. There's no more excuses. Because there's a solution for everything. The solution is that everything you need is already available through somebody else. You don't have to sell your product, you don't have to sell your time, you don't have to sell your service, and you can leverage everything. So we're going to have a hot seat later on as well. We're going to work with you and show you practical examples of how this stuff works. Not all airy-fairy stuff. And we're going to get you fully involved. Right now, while you're still awake this morning, we're going to do the hardest work, because after lunch it gets hard. That's when Patrick brings a big stick and we start whipping and throwing water at people to wake them up, and all that good stuff happens in the afternoon. But right now we've got to get down to the basics. So what is the reason why you're in business? Money? Profit, right? You're not in business to get customers. You're not in business to reduce your attrition rate, or to, we say there's 3 ways to grow business: more money, more people, spending more money more often, right? Increase the transaction rate, increase the amount of people, increase the frequency. It's not about that. This is all about profit. And when I say that your business can double and triple and quadruple your profit, I really mean that, and we'll show you exactly how to do that. So it's all about profit. It's not about sales, because a lot of business got a lot of sales going on, but they're not making a lot of profit. People go bankrupt and they got a lot of sales, but they got high overhead. So their cash flow is an issue. How many of you would like to increase your cash flow? Right? And here's the other thing. When you go on most seminar leaders are making money doing seminars. Right? 90% of our income is from other joint ventures, not from DollarMakers. So we make some money today, and that's all good. But this is not what it's about for us. For us, this is about finding joint venture partners. That's why we do this. This is our hobby. This is our passion. We don't need the money. So another thing to remember is, most seminars, what is waiting for you at the end of the seminar? You know that, and I know that. You're going to have some character leaping around in front here, and he's going to start manipulating and cajoling and carrying on, and then he's going to have you running to the back to spend your hard-earned money on an emotional choice, right? You know about those things. They're going to give you a free dinner, we're going to give you free this, we're going to free that. But now there's great scarcity and greed going on, because if you don't buy today, you heard that story. This is not about that. Today, we're going to give you options to get where you need to be. Whether you become a member of DollarMakers, whether you take up any of the options or not, is unimportant. Frankly, whether you do something today or not is not going to affect my life. It will affect your life, but it's not going to affect my life. So what we want to do is get results for you. So I got a computer guy, expert computer guy. His name's Andrew. Fantastic, brilliant guy. When I got a problem with my computer, what I do, I call Andrew. I say, Andrew, hey, I got a problem. Andrew pops over, and whatever Andrew tells me to do, I do. Why? Because John Addison told us, never take advice from anybody more screwed up than you are. Right? I don't know anything about most things. Computers, cars, I know nothing. So what I do, I'd go to Andrew. Andrew says, you need this software, you need this hardware, you need to do this, you need to do that, do this, and I just follow his instructions. Right? Like the physician, when I go to the doctor tells me what to do, I listen to him. And it's almost like if we had $1 million, millionaire pills. These are real millionaire pills. Right? Honestly, you can see it says millionaire pills. It must be true because it's in print, right? But it says millionaire pills, lovely little green ones, same color as money. And if I said to you, listen, these are guaranteed millionaire pills, you've got to take 4 at 3 o'clock in the morning, and 2 at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and 3 again at 6 o'clock. If you knew that they worked, would you do that?
Of course.
You do it, right? So just follow the instructions. When Andrew says to me, do this with your computers, I do it because I know that it will work. I go to my mechanic. The mechanic says to me, the reason why there's no heating is because your water pump is broken. What's my first question?
What's a water pump?
Yeah, what's a water pump? Yeah. You're pretty spot on. You know me better than you think. Honestly, I don't know where I would find the water pump. But I said, what is my natural question when he says you need to replace the thing? How much? So you know what Ray says to Ray, the name of my motor mechanic is Ray. Ray says to me, here's the question. It's not how much is it going to cost you to replace the water pump. It's what it's going to cost you if you don't replace the water pump. And my question for you today is, where will you be in 1 year's time? And if you knew the millionaire pills work, follow the prescription. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't try and rethink the thing, because chances are you're going to waste time, you're going to get frustrated, you're going to lose money. So we're going to give you options that will help you to get there faster. Whether you take them or not, it doesn't matter to us, but there's no pressure to do anything today. Really, there's no pressure. What we do want you to do is get results. So, in order to do that, a quick illustration. Everybody reads a newspaper. Think a newspaper is a good thing to read the newspaper?
No.
The newspaper is like a magnet. It just sucks in all this negative stuff. That's all it does, and it just feeds you this negative stuff most of the time. So newspaper is a very negative thing. But the reality is that in life, a lot of us read the newspaper and watch the news too much, and we should be absorbing good stuff. And so a quick illustration is that if I had this jug and I was to put milk in, this milk was to represent your resources. What are some of the resources that we have?
Time, knowledge.
Time, knowledge. What else?
Skills. Energy.
Skills, money, energy. So when you have a job, and as I said, most entrepreneurs are self-employed salespeople. If you have a job and you're working really hard in your job and you're spending time, or in your business and you're spending time and energy, you get to a point where you've got a whole lot of time and energy that you're going to invest. A whole lot of time and energy. You're going to invest that into your job, into your business. And so just like a newspaper, it's pretty a negative thing, because you're selling your time. You might as well become a slave. Just imagine a slave ship arrives in BC. It arrives here in Vancouver Harbor. And they say, we've got a slave ship. We're looking for slaves. Come row this. How many of us would line up? And that's exactly what you do when you sell time. You become a slave. Even a consultant is a slave. A consultant is an employee with many bosses, selling his most valuable resource. It's almost like selling your digits. How much for a finger? How much? It runs out. So if I was to make, you have to go to UBC, study origami for many years to learn how to do this. It's a genius. It's got to be a genius to be able to do this. So here's my old negative newspaper. This represents my business or my job. In many cases, same thing. And so what I'm going to do now is to invest all my resources into my job or into my business. But I'm investing time. And I'm working really hard. So that's what I'm going to do. Work really hard and invest. And as I invest into this, you've got to know how to hold this thing. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away. Fills up, right? Keeps on filling up. But you keep on working. And after a year, remember it's only a year, you keep on investing. You're working hard, investing your time, being loyal to your boss, right? Working hard, selling your time. And you know what? At the end of a year, not much resources left. You spent that time, it's never going to come back. And after all that investment, Russell, nice top you got on there. How much have you got left? How much? Nothing. It's gone. There's nothing left. You spent all that time working so hard. You got nothing to show for it. And that's what most employees are doing. So most employees are doing. So most people are doing. They're just frittering away their time, working hard, and they got nothing to show for it at the end of the day. So we want to change that. We want to say, you know what? That's not the way that you should be working. You should be reserving your resources. Reserve your resources. Because if you reserve your resources, you can do what you like with your time. You can spend your time skiing, spend your time with your family, and use other people's time, other people's resources. Let them do the work. Right? How many of you are coaches? Any coaches here today? You're a coach? Selling time? Okay, and you're probably a very good coach. I've got no doubt about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you agree. And humility is never been. So, the man's a good coach, right? Here's the question. Could you find another good coach? It's hard. It's hard to find a good coach. Hard to find any good people. But let's say you were to find 5 good coaches. And every one of those coaches agreed to give you 20% of everything they earn on an ongoing basis. And then somebody came to you for coaching and you were just to refer them to somebody else. And they were giving you 20%. The reality is that when you take the cost of your time into the equation, that you earn more on the 20% net than on the 100% gross. And now you've got 5 people working for you, and every time all you're doing now is sending them business. So you're saying to them, do you notice that this is now full again? Right? Because I don't want to invest it. I want to keep it. I want to invest it with my family. I want to invest my time with things I want to invest it with. So, if you were to refer all that coaching to some other coaches and they were to be paying you 20% of everything they get on an ongoing basis, that 20% net is more than the 100% gross because you're not spending any time. And during that time, you can set up multiple other dollar makers, multiple other cash machines. You work smart instead of hard. You should never sell your time. As a consultant, as a trainer, as any kind of time selling a skill, you should not be doing that. You should be sending that to somebody else. So just as your resources wear out or run out when you're selling your time and you're selling your product, your service, carrying inventory, doing all the stuff that we normally do in business, what you want is an unlimited resource. And this is income that comes from joint ventures. It's unlimited. There's no geographical limitation. It'll just keep on coming. So all you want to do is to say, well, if I've got this resource, it's not going to run out, right? Or will it? Okay. Now in a normal business, that's it. It's done. It's worn out. But in a joint venture, because it's not my resource, somebody else's, I can just keep on getting more. There's more. It's not going to run out. I'm going to keep on coming back and I'm going to keep on finding that there's more because there's an unlimited amount of resources from other people. Just keep on pouring. Right? There's no problem. It's not going to run out. And the reason for that is that other people's resources are unlimited and you can work internationally. So if I'm working locally in BC, working locally in Vancouver, and there's a fire, there's a flood, there's a recession, the competition moves in, what happens to my business? It's going to go down. Now we get into price cutting and competition, all that stuff. But I can work internationally. So I personally have at any given time about 20 income streams at any given time. And they spread worldwide. So we're not limited geographically, we're not limited to an industry, we're not limited to one person, we don't have all our eggs in one basket, we've got multiple streams, and we'll show you that just now. So what it's all about is making the money, and if you're going to make that money, we need a strategy to do that. So to be a strategist means you've got to know how to do it. And today is to teach you the mindset and then to give you particular, specific things that you can do. Once you can ride a bicycle, you can ride a bicycle anywhere. Anywhere in the world. So this, how many of you seen this thing? Found this in West Edmonton Mall. Took me hours, couldn't work out. Question is, how do you get the ring out? Can you do this? Want to try, Russell?
No, I'm not thinking.
Okay, we'll try and get the ring out. So while Russell tries to unhandcuff himself from his conventional thinking and conditioning that says you've got to work hard, you've got to spend many hours, you've got to, it takes many hours to build a long time to build your reputation. While he's trying to think like that, it's very difficult for him to get out of that. And that's what we believe. You've got to have a reputation in business. You've got to build your database. Right? You've got to work hard. You've got to work long hours. And that's no longer true. It's only true if you do it the conventional way. Bad link? Okay, it's going to take a long time. So to save you time, I just go like this. And that's out. And any idiot, including me, because I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, any idiot can learn it. So I can teach you how to do that in 2 minutes. Why try to learn it yourself and maybe never find out? I'd rather get the bald man to show you really quick. Okay, so that's what I found with my computer. I'm probably never going to get that thing to work properly. I'll just go and call Andrew. Hey, Andrew, you come and do it. Now, let's say, for example, that Rick wanted his computer fixed. I can't fix it. That's not a problem because I'm just going to call Andrew. But I'm going to say to Andrew, Andrew, if I bring you business, are you going to pay me? And guess what 99% of people are going to say? No, we don't pay commissions in our business. Or we only pay once. Now, what is the benefit of paying somebody an ongoing commission? Let's say I send Rick to Andrew, and Andrew pays me every single time Rick does business with him for the next 5 years, 10 years, ongoing. Why is that in Andrew's best interest to do that? Repeat business? I'm going to keep on bringing in business, right? Because if every time Rick goes to Andrew, first of all, 80% of something is better than 100% of nothing. And guess what? If Rick is going to Andrew and I'm getting a check every month from Andrew and that check diminishes because Rick moves on somewhere else, what am I going to do? I'm going to send him more business. Right? I'm going to keep on sending business because it's an income stream for me. So it makes sense to pay because if you pay for it, people honor and respect what they pay for. Now, the biggest problem that I've got today is our conditioning. The conditioning that we have that tells us too good to be true. Too good to be true. Sounds easy. Easy for Robin. It's easy for anybody. But you got to get the philosophy. So the question is, what is your philosophy? There's only two kinds of philosophy in life, and the one is scarcity and the one is abundance. The scarcity mentality is shrinking pie. There's not enough to go around. Often I have people asking, well, if everybody was doing joint ventures, there'd be no money left. No, I had one woman said to me, there's no money in Vancouver. I said, come and have lunch with me at the Terminal City Club and we'll decide if there's money in Vancouver. It's all perception is reality. So our belief system is our biggest problem. It's not about the systems. I can show you the systems real quick. But it's the belief system that is the problem. So if the table represents, the tabletop represents what you believe, your beliefs, what you believe you will achieve. And the legs of the table represent the evidence that you found to prove that that's true or false. So if you were in a business that didn't work, and your uncle was in the same business and it didn't work, and your friends were in the same business and it didn't work, guess what you believe about that business? It doesn't work. Because that's your experience. That's your filing system. What I need to do is to give you new evidence so that you change that belief, so you start thinking differently. And that's what we will be doing today, giving you lots of evidence, lots of information that will help you to make that transition to start believing that it is possible. So what you believe, what is dependent on that, is what your input, who you mix with. Birds of the feather flock together. Jim Stovall said, never take advice from anybody who doesn't already have what you want. Never take advice from anybody who doesn't already have what you want. Because how can they teach you? Right? I mean, Wendy, have you had children? Children? Any children?
Yes.
Helen? Any children? Okay. If I want to know about childbirth, Wendy's had a baby, Helen has not. Who am I going to ask for advice? I'm going to ask the lady that has had babies, not a virgin that's never had babies. Doesn't make sense. Right? So when you want advice about business, you should be asking somebody that actually understands business, not your bank manager. Because let me tell you, if your bank manager understood business, he'd have a business and he'd be making money. Now he's just an employee. He understands banking. He's a nice guy. He understands banking, but he's not an entrepreneur. My bank manager says to me, oh, Robin, I've got a special deal. I said, what's that? And her name's, what's the deal? I can get you 3%. 3%. I'm going backwards on 3%. The bank is offering you 3-4%. I think it's a big deal. No. You can get 12% on your money. Talk to Patrick. 12%. If you can get 12% and you can borrow money from the bank at 6%, you're making 6% on the bank's money. And so it's a different philosophy. It's a different way of thinking. Get advice from people that have got money. What do wealthy people do? What do poor people do? They work for money. What do wealthy people do? They have their money work for them. What do joint venture brokers do? They go beyond that. They have everybody else's resources and their money working for them. It's a higher way. How many of you read Think and Grow Rich? Right, you read about the mastermind. DollarMakers is a mastermind on steroids, in action. It's real stuff, no fluff. Right, this is the real mastermind, because together in this room, honestly, if we lock the door for the next 4 days and we all just work together, guess what will happen? We'll all make a lot of money. Because if we really sat down with this concept and we all worked out, I had a guy call me yesterday, a guy I know quite well. He called me, he said, Robin, I want you to promote my seminar. I said, I will not promote your seminar. I said, why not? I said, well, first of all, how big is your database? He said he's got 3,500 people. Now, he's a good guy. His people know him. They trust him. They listen to him. I said, you know what? You're not a member of DollarMakers. I only do business with members of DollarMakers, number one. Number two, you've never even been on a boot camp, so you don't really know what I do. And number three, why would I promote your event to my people so that they can get into your database? I don't need the money. What do I want? Have you thought about that? See, he was thinking about what he wants, and that's absolutely normal for salespeople. It's not about what you want. It's what about I want. It's about what I want. So what I need to do is find out what is Keith. Keith's a wealthy guy, but what is his hot button? We always think it's about money. It's not about money. It's about what is the money going to buy and what does he want. What does Keith want more than anything else? What is his hot button? Right? And if I sit down, take the time to say, Keith, come for lunch. And I don't talk about me because Keith doesn't care about me. Doesn't care. And I say, Keith, tell me about your life. What books do you read? If I know what books you read, I know a lot about you. Average person leaves school doesn't read any books. Did you know that? Average person doesn't read anything. This is my favorite book, Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. Right? This is actually Patrick's book.
Great book.
Right? If you haven't read this book, you should read it. It's a teacher about money and capitalism and responsibility and freedom. Wonderful book. So if you wouldn't mind just passing that on to give Patrick his book back so I don't forget because he beats me. Just read it on the way. That's quick. But I want to know, what books does Keith read? What is his family? Where does he live? Why does he live there? What keeps him awake at night? What are his fears? What are his hopes? What are his dreams? What does he worry about? Right? What are his goals? What are his goals that he's had that he used to believe in, got all excited about, put them on the shelf and forgot about them? And when I know all that, when I know what his hot button is, what is going to work, really wake him up and get his attention, then I'm going to show him how it's in his best interest to work with me. And until you do that, you're just a desperate, broke salesperson. Because nobody cares about you. So I want to find out, what does Kiko want? Kiko, I think family is very important to Kiko, right? Very important. Kiko, and you got to know Kiko. Kiko is a very analytical guy, a very sincere person. And he doesn't just make a snap decision, right, Kiko? He takes time. He thinks about something. He's very, very conservative in his thinking. And that's good, because those kind of guys are there for the long term. Not everybody's going to think that way. So I want to understand what makes Kiko tick, what Kiko's hot button is, then work with Kiko, help him to get what he wants. And Zig Ziglar said you can get anything you want out of life if you help enough other people to get what they want. Think about that. Help them to get what they want. If you can't help them to get what they want, if you don't know what they want, or if you're assuming that you know, so you've got to find out. So we're moving on quickly because I know that you don't have a lot of time to have me bleating on. Here's a little pan. I decide I'm going to go and bake something. And what have we always heard about money? You've got to spend money to make money. Right? Nonsense. You don't have to spend money. You just have to move money. Big difference. That's I go and bake something, and there's nothing there. Well, I can get something from nothing. Right? The problem is, I don't have to put the money in. Somebody else has got the money. Everything I need is available through somebody else. Credit, equipment, reputation, databases, everything you need, it's already available. You don't have to go out there and spend money to get it. It's already available. So most people, the way they approach business, the way they approach their retirement is a juggling act. This is what they do. If I keep on doing this, sooner or later, what's going to happen? I'm going to start dropping the balls. It's a matter of time. I might go on for a while, right? Momentum carries me along for a while. Sooner or later, I'm going to drop the ball. We want you to be a strategist. We want you to strategize it. You know exactly what's going on. You're completely in control. There's no money. There's no risk. There's very little time. Absolute leverage. You're in control, and you're getting where you want to go because you've got a very clear roadmap to get from where you are to where you want to be. And so we're going to show you how to get that. Instead of hoping we're going to make sure that it works. All you need to do is take your millionaire pills, take them at the right time, take the right amount, do the right thing. Do the wrong thing, guess what happens if I try and put that water pump into my car? It's never going to work. Never going to work. So, what we want to be looking at is how do you get that thing to keep on giving? This is a gift that keeps on giving, right? Just keeps on. Right? Just keep on. And when you think it's empty, you just do another one. And eventually, it's going to keep on pouring till this thing overflows. And that's what you want. And so what you want to look for is when you go to get advice from Patrick. You know, there's an old koan, a Buddhist koan, and it says, if I go to the master Patrick, and I go into his little den, and Patrick is pouring tea, and my cup is already full of tea, what happens when he pours tea into my cup? There's no place for it, overflows. And I've got to empty myself in order to learn from him. I've got to get rid of my preconceived ideas and bias so that I can get that knowledge into my head. And what I've learned is there's a whole lot of stuff I don't know anything about. So we've got to have that attitude. So, a quick story. There was a guy who decided to buy a hotel, but he had no money. Now, because he thought correctly, that wasn't a problem for him. And you've got a very interesting guest speaker coming this afternoon. And you're going to learn some very valuable stuff. And I learn every time I listen to this guy. It's got a lot to do with the way we think. Very interesting. This guy decided he wanted to buy this hotel in California. It's a true story. Hotel was selling for $1.5 million, long time ago. So he went and he had a meeting with a hotel manager, the hotel owner rather, and with a scrip broker. Now, a scrip broker is somebody that will buy scrip, and scrip is a coupon or a gift certificate or a value. Okay, so this is what he did, and I want you to follow this one because this is all about leverage and it's all about joint venture mindset, and it shows you that anybody can do this kind of stuff. So there's a hotel. Hotel costs $3 million. And now if you're thinking, oh, $3 million, that's out of my thing, don't worry, it's just the principle, right? $3 million. So he goes out and with permission, he issues scrip or vouchers or coupons for, sorry, it wasn't 3 million, it was 1.5 million. Get myself confused in my old age here. Okay, so 1.5 million. So he issues scrip, coupons for $3 million. This is coupons to be used over the next 5 years for food, beverages, and rooms. Got 5 years to use them. Now, over 5 years, number one, the price goes up, but the value stays the same. So they diminish in value. You agree? Because the cost of rooms and stuff goes up. So he's got 5 years, and a lot of people will wait, and so the value will diminish of that 3 million. In addition, his food cost percentage is 32%. So he's making 68% profit. You've got to bear that in mind. His rooms are costing him round about, I think it's 11% or 10 or 9% his cost on the room. And when somebody uses the room, what do? They eat in the restaurant. So if they use a coupon for the room, they're going to eat in the restaurant and they're going to buy other stuff and buy tours and all the other back-end information. Here's the interesting part. He's got breakage. Guess what the breakage? Breakage means the people that don't use their mail-in rebate. Guess what the breakage is? Or how many, turn the other way, how many people in Canada, and I got this as a statistic, use or actually use a mail-in rebate? What percentage actually mail it in? 4%. 4%. So you've got 96% of people never mail in the breakage. And in Canada, in the States, I think it's a much higher percentage return. I think it's 40% breakage. Yeah, they got 96% breakage in Canada. So he takes that into factor. So he's working on a 40% breakage. So when you look at this, you can see that he's not at risk to issue these certificates, and he's built in a whole lot of back end. Now here's the interesting thing. He sells this scrip, this $3 million. He sells it for $1.5 million to a scrip broker. He takes that money and he buys a hotel. So he's bought the hotel for $1.5 million cash. What did it cost him? Nothing. He's selling future products and services with a huge breakage and a small cost of sales. And he's built in the back end. So in other words, when they go to that hotel, They don't just buy food and beverages and rooms, they're also buying tours and t-shirts and all sorts of other back-end stuff that he put in. We'll talk about the back-end. Databases and groups. Kevin, how many people in your database? Sorry, not a good time to ask him, but he's chewing. Rick, how many people in your database?
About 1,200.
1,200 people. Now, Rick is a good guy. They like him, they trust him, they respect him, they work with him. If I want Rick to consistently, persistently, enthusiastically, continually promote my product or service to his database, or Rob's product and service to his database, I have to give him a good reason to do that, because he's the center of influence. And let me tell you something, the key to growth is working with centers of influence. If you just get that thing today, you're going to make a lot of money. So we're sitting here in Vancouver, and we decide we want to expand into Atlantic Canada, into the East Coast, and into Ontario. And I get a guy, calls me up on the phone, he says, I'm a member of DollarMakers, we want you to do a boot camp in Montreal. Never been to Montreal before, I don't know anybody in Montreal. I said to him, fine, send me a check, I'll be there like a bear. So he sends me the check, I arrive in Montreal, there's a room full of real winners. I find out the guy that got me to go to Montreal, he's a crazy guy. He's got no job, he's got no money, he's off the wall. He showed up in a tank top, he's a crazy guy. Right? But you know what, he knew one other guy that was a center of influence in Montreal. And he got the center of influence to fill that room. The center of influence filled the room for the boot camp, 50 people, and he knew somebody in Ottawa. And he said, I got a friend, Joanne, in Ottawa, and she's a winner, and she's got a big group. They put up a boot camp in Ottawa. 50 people in Ottawa did a boot camp in Ottawa. One of the guys in the room in Ottawa called himself Eric the Great. Eric the Great was a young guy, probably 22, 23 years old, had a big group in Toronto. He said, Robin, would you be our guest speaker in Toronto? I said, sure. Popped along to Toronto, 256 people in the room, or 265 people in the room. Big group of people, well organized, gave a talk. 86 people signed up for the boot camp. That opened up that cost. Now, it was all through centers of influence. I didn't do any advertising. You won't see me sending out advertising in newspapers, sending you direct mail. That's expensive. I pay for results. And so if you find a group, if you find a guy like Rick, he's a center of influence, he knows a lot of people, they trust him and they like him, I need to give him a good, compelling reason to promote a product or service to his people in their best interest, in his best interest, in my best interest, and in my joint venture partner's best interest. Before I can do that, what do I need to know about Rick? What is his hot button? What does he want? What is going to get his attention enough to make him enthusiastically and consistently promote DollarMakers? And let me tell you something, unless you know the hot button, you're not going to persuade him. Because a lot of people are knocking on his door. Oh, can you promote this? Can you send people on my boot camp? Can you send people? All they're doing is selling, selling, selling. I want to solve. I said, how can I solve your problem? I have resources, you have resources. How can we put together a win-win to help you to get what you want? Then I got his attention. So the smart way to do this is to find the guys with the 32,000 people, to find the guys with the 3,500 people, to find them and then to give them a very good reason that they can't wait to promote whatever it is that you want them to promote. And again, it doesn't have to be me. Remember, if you want the maximum profit, you've got to promote somebody else, not you. So I want to promote Keith, his product or service, to Rick's database. And Keith and I and Rick share the love. It's a triangulated deal. It's a triangulate between the three of us. Keith is doing all the work, carrying the inventory, carrying the overhead. He's doing all the work. Rick is providing the marketing, and all I'm doing is being the link. And you can do that in 30 minutes. And I make thousands of dollars every time that transaction takes place. And if it's an ongoing transaction, a consumable, then it goes on and on and on. Right? So what we need today is to make this work within this group with you guys. Now here's the reality, and you've got to listen carefully to this one. There's some people that got a database of 12, 13,000 people, and these are just people that opted in on a website for a free report. That's not a database, that's just a group of email addresses. There's no trust, there's no relationship, there's no reliability. There's other people that have got 10 people in their joint venture, in their database, but these are wealthy people that will do whatever they tell them to do. Do you want the 10 or do you want the 11,000? You know?
Both.
You want both, but you want to be really clear that some of these databases are not real databases. Right? It's just a group of people, and they just get irritated with your emails and your letters. So it can cost you a lot of time and frustration and money. And you also don't want the wrong people. You know, you don't want people phoning you up and irritating you and wasting your time. So you want to look for quality above quantity. Look for quality. Okay, then on the next page at the top it says some terms we should understand. Marginal net worth is the amount of money you're going to make from that customer in the lifetime of the customer. Acquisition cost is what it costs you to get a customer, and then customer attrition. This is a good one. This is a good joint venture that you can use. The first one we're going to be sharing with you, very simple one. Every business loses customers every year. Average business loses 20% of their customers. They die, they go away, they lose interest, they get a better offer, they get lured away, or they get bad service. Now, if the company understands that they're losing a percentage of their people, most businesses are so busy getting new customers that they don't look after what they've got. And they don't incentivize the customers that they've got to stay with them or to bring them more business. Right? They don't look after what they so they lose it, but they're just looking for new customers all the time. So you go to them and you say, and now this entire script that I'm giving you now is in your workbook. So you don't have to read it, I'm going to tell you it. Right? This is what you do. You go along and you say, Helen, you got this great printing business, you got a natural attrition, and you're losing people. If I could reactivate them and bring them back, would you pay me a piece? Of course, Helen would. So let's assume I go to a lumber yard. People are buying a lot of lumber, and they normally buy every month, but for 4 months they haven't bought, means they're inactive clients. Right? They've lost them. So you say to them, if I can bring these guys back, would you give me a percentage? They say yes. You say, fine. You get a woman on the phone. She phones that company. She phones the client that the clients are no longer active, or a man phones them and says, you know, this is Johnny, I'm phoning from Bill's Lumber. We see that you haven't been active for quite a while. Is there something wrong? Now, if there is something wrong, handle that, get them to customer service, sort it out. And if they just got busy or they just went away or something, say, you know what, we prefer to do business with old friends than unknown strangers. And we'd love you to come back. And so we would like to ethically bribe you and entice you back because we want your business. This is what we're going to do. We're going to give you a discount on your first purchase. If you buy within the next 10 days, we're going to give you a discount of 20% of your first purchase, and we're going to give you a gift basket with vouchers, coupons, gift certificates, samples worth over $1,000 just to reward you for coming back into the fold. Now, the gift certificates and the gift vouchers doesn't cost anything. The discount the firm is giving. And after that, every time they buy from that company, if they come back, you're going to get paid by that company. Plus, you're going to get paid by all the gift certificate providers as well. And even if they don't reactivate, it's great public relations for the company. Plus, you're getting paid on the back end of all of the gift certificates and everything else. And you just reactivate those clients and get paid for the ongoing business. Very simple concept. And the only reason why it doesn't work is because you don't do it. And you do a joint venture with somebody else that does all the phoning. Right? The gift certificates are easy to get. So they do the work, they take the time, they activate the clients. You don't do anything. You set it up, you set the people up, and you stand back. You create your little dollar maker, your dollar maker kicks back the money. And it's called a reactivation process. And it really works well. Now, we've got a client, one of our members in England, great guy, and he cleans houses. His company cleans houses, house cleaning service, maid service. Now, in England, the average person is earning £22,000 a year in England. His house cleaning is £200 a month. So these are high-end customers. And he's got about 200 customers, and he keeps his customers on average for 2.5 years. So 200 customers spending $200 a month, keeps them for 2.5 years, all the twos. And he says, how can I increase my business? So we said, well, what we suggest you do is, first of all, how do you communicate with them? Well, I don't. Okay, so what we're going to do is we put together a newsletter that young Lane is going to do. Lane does really fantastic newsletters. And in the newsletter, what we're going to do is every month, we're going to give them an incentive for referrals. We're going to be talking about referral incentives just now. If you're selling anything and you're looking for business, it's going to blow you away. We're going to do that after lunch as well. So we're going to give them an incentive. We're going to say, for everybody you bring us that starts using our business, that starts using our cleaning service, we'll give you 1 month free. And he advertises that in every newsletter, right? And then in every newsletter, and this is an interesting newsletter, it's got interesting articles and stuff, and he's communicating regularly with them, and they remember him. Every newsletter's got a gift certificate. The first one is going to be with a jewelry store for a free cleaning or a free evaluation. Jewelry stores kicking back 25 or 30% to him on all sales from these 200 high-end customers. They all have jewelry. Most women like their jewelry cleaned or evaluated, especially when I find out if that swine gave you a cubic zirconia instead of a diamond. You know, it would be terrifying. Most women would be shocked how many of them have got cubic zirconias they think are diamonds. Very scary. So, first the jewelry shop. Next month we're going to do interior design. Would you like a free, half-hour free interior design? And just call this designer. There's no obligation. Designer comes in, gives you a free consultation. Any business, 25% of the money back to him, net profit. Next month, they're going to do home theater. Home theater, we'll come in, we'll give you a free consultation, free demonstration. Anything that happens, 25% of the gross amount back to him. Now, these are high-end products with high-end margins, high margins. So if he's got referrals coming in, he's building every month an additional joint venture built in, and he's working on his client base, and he's going to keep them longer, he's going to get them to refer him people, and he's going to start selling them on the joint ventures. And all of it is extra value to them. So when people are giving you stuff, they're not selling you stuff. Yeah, you know, free this, free that, free this, have something else. It's all free. There's no pressure, there's no obligation, there's no, you're not being, feeling rejected because somebody didn't do something. Very easy. So, resource audit. I'm going to tell you this is the best thing. You sit down with somebody, you can't believe some of the resources that people have access to. I spoke to a woman, she was from Chilliwack a few years back, and she said, I've got no money, I don't know what to do, I'm not making any money in my business. She's got 15,000 people in her database. I said, you're sitting on a gold mine. Do these people know you? Yes, I'm their hairdresser in the famous Chilliwack. 15,000 people. It's a huge database. She's doing nothing with it. Now, you know, database doesn't stay as good. It gets worse.
Of course.
So I said, you've got to move fast. Time is money. Move fast now. I'll show you what to do. Take advantage of the database. Never got back to me. Stupid, because you know what? Every month she's losing money. Database is changing. So there's a lot of people with huge resources. Sit down, find out what they want, find out what they got. They got timeshare that you can leverage. When you work, we did this with a church once. It was a fundraiser. And we did like a silent auction, but we basically found out all their resources. We did a massive resource audit, and we sold Jim's things to Peter, and Peter's stuff to Sally, and Sally's stuff to Auntie Mabel. And it was like a huge silent auction garage sale, but it was done very sophisticated. And the church took 50% of the money. And I want to tell you something, they made a lot of money. And the reason was, people didn't realize the resources that they had. They never realized the assets that they had. Huge amount of money. So trying, on the next page is closing ratios. Most realtors are very, very egotistical. You know, if you see a lady, she gives you a wonderful business card, and you see a picture of her granddaughter, it's not her granddaughter, it's her 25 years ago. You've seen that, right? Unbelievable. Like this old hag that you're talking to. Old hag with a picture of a 14-year-old girl. Right? That's her. It's unbelievable. Very strange. But very, very protective. Now, here's the reality. If I'm going to a realtor, and I'm talking to my realtor, and he doesn't have something for me, what am I going to do? I'm going to another realtor, right? What he should do, he should say, well, I'm a realtor, I'm a business person, I'm in business to make money, make a profit. I'm not threatened, I'm a good realtor, and there are other good realtors out there, hard as it is for me to believe. And if I've got an 8, if I've got a 2 in 10 closing ratio, that means I sell 2 and I don't sell 8. For every 10 people I see, I sell 2 and 8 don't buy. But they're qualified buyers. Then he finds his buddy, same thing. He sells 2, 8 don't buy. What is the logical thing for them to do?
For back forth.
To refer back and forth. I'm sitting with Sally, right? I'm sitting with Russell. Russell and I are sitting there, and Sally's my buddy. Sally's another realtor. So I said to Russell, you know, Russell, I've been working with you now for 3 weeks. I haven't got the inventory that you're looking for. I've tried to help you. I couldn't, but you're such a nice guy. You're a qualified buyer, and I really don't want you to lose out, so I'm going to refer you to Sally. Hold on a second. Pick up the phone. I phone Sally. I say, hi, Sally, it's Robin here. You know, I'm sitting with Russell. He's a great guy. He's a qualified buyer. I haven't been able to help him. Would you please help him? Sally, talk to Russell. Russell, talk to Sally. Give you the phone. do you think he's going to make an appointment with her?
Of course.
It's a done deal. Here's the reality. Did you know that on that kind of referral, and we've done this, by the way, 50% closing ratio. The chances of Sally closing that guy is 50%. So all of a sudden, she's increased the 2 plus 4, she now got 6. 6 out of the original 10 instead of 2. That's not too bad. And you do the same thing here. Now he's got 6 sales and she's got 6 sales. It's a win-win. Now if I'm a broker, I'm not going to become a realtor. Don't have to. Don't want to. Right? Because it's too much like hard work for me. What I want to do is, if I set that thing up, if I was getting a commission on an additional 8 sales, that's pretty good money. And then if I added a back end in on that, so does it make sense to work with your competition? Of course it does. That's why when you go to a networking group and they say, we only want 1 realtor and 1 lawyer and stuff, that's a scarcity thinking thing. That's nonsense. It might work for egos, but doesn't work for profit. Right? Profit is different from ego. It's not about me. There's always somebody better than, smarter than, richer than me, but I know that. There's a lot of guys much smarter than me. So if you just bear that in mind, work with your competition. Think about this. If you're selling businesses, do you know what the average closing ratio is for business brokers? About 3%. Very low, right? And they're paying for all those good leads. How many of you are in network marketing? Right? If you're in network marketing, guys that are looking for businesses are good prospects for you. So you go along to the broker and you say to him, hey, give me your leads and I'll pay you for anybody that buys. Right? Or get 2 brokers. Get this one's unconverted leads and sell them to that guy. Or send them to that guy and take a piece of the profit. So unconverted leads and working with the competition, very, very powerful. Very powerful. All you want to do is see those dollar maker opportunities. Triangulation is the only best way to do joint ventures. Triangulation means I'm not involved with my product or service, I'm just linking up 2 other people. Now Rick, if I bring you business, will you pay me a generous and happy commission?
Absolutely.
Right? And I know he will, and he does. If I know what his product and service are, and I'm happy with him, and I like him, and I trust him, and he's professional, so I would go to you and I'd say to you, if I could send, so I would work out what your closing ratio is, I would work out what the size of a deal is, what the average commission is, so that I could realistically and very conservatively, I would approach this gentleman and I would say, if I could send you a check for $5,000 a month, and it didn't cost you anything, took you no time, would that get your attention? Right? It already has. What a pleasure, right? And I'd say, fine, this is what we're going to do. I would get the marketing material and the sales material and everything I need, I'm going to get from Rick. What's your first name? Christopher. I'm going to take that to Christopher, right? He's going to market Rick's product and service to his database, and we're going to get paid and we're going to share the love. That's triangulated. I am not going to do the work, I'm not going to do the marketing, I'm not going to do the sales. All the stuff is done. You're not going to do any work. All you're going to do is present that to your sales group, to your team, to your people, through your e-zines, through your website, through your conference calls, whatever it is that you do to communicate with them. So that's a triangulated deal. Now you can do multiple deals like that. And once I've dealt with Christopher and I've sent him a check, now he believes it. People do not believe you until they get the money. You know that? They'll tell you they believe you. But until you actually give them the check and the check clears, it's not a gut level thing yet. But once I start sending you thousands of dollars, the next one I'm coming, you're going to be amenable to that. You're going to say, oh, Robin's proven himself. He does pay. He's a good guy. Let's do more. So now we bring you more. And the more you do it, the better it gets. You only work with groups, you can't lose. So don't pick one grape at a time. Go to the owner of the vineyard. Here's the most important part about, if you're watching this at home on the DVD, or if you're here today, here's the big thing. We have all the tools that you need to retire in 1 year. Everything you need to retire with more money than you need to live on per month residual income. You can definitely do it. The question is, will you do it? Will you take action? If you have any questions about this DVD or any questions about any of the content, you're welcome to email us, robin@dollarmakers.com. You can go to our website, dollarmakers.com, have a look at the website, and contact us and ask us. Ask us what the latest joint ventures are that are available. Ask us what we're doing now, because it changes all the time. We continually bring in new stuff in, and we'll make you aware of that. So stay in contact with us, join the Dollar Makers, get involved with the stuff we're involved with, use the stuff, and we want to see you retire. The most important thing to remember about joint ventures is you can do anything you want at joint ventures if you really want to succeed, if you've got all the guidance, and we can give you that guidance. Paul J. Meyer said, whatever you vividly imagine, ardently desire, sincerely believe, and enthusiastically act upon must inevitably come to pass. And whatever your financial goal is, you can achieve that faster through joint ventures than anything else that I've found in 20 years. And we've been exposed to a lot of stuff for 20 years. And honestly, this is still the best we've ever found. Average business, if you're in business, probably working on 10% of your potential profit, we can take that through the roof, through joint ventures. So this is the key for your success. It's a key to help other people to become successful. And we thank you for attending. And we want to look forward to working with you in the future. If you're watching this at home, we look forward to working with you as well. Thank you very much for attending. And best of luck for your joint ventures. Thank you very much.